Back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. And we're pleased to be joined by Mason Maggio. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. But first off, before we get into the questions, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you race.
Yeah, so, growing up, my dad and my grandfather watched the NASCAR Cup races on Sundays when I would go over to my grandparents' house for dinner.
Yeah.
Always took somewhat of an interest into it, but never really, thought further of like, oh, this could be a career. Never anything like that. I mean, especially for a 5-year-old trying to watch a 150, 200 lap race, it was hard for the younger me to understand. But as I got older, I realized, I was getting a little bit more interest in it. And then went to a rental go-kart track just to have fun with some friends. And my dad went out there as well because he likes to drive the go-karts every once in a while, and started beating him in time. And he's usually pretty good at stuff like that because he, had his own go-kart growing up, never really raced it, but just, to play around the neighborhood with. And kept asking him if we could go back. And sure enough, we kept going back, making more trips, improving on time. And finally told my dad, I said, I think I want to try to do this. And, we started looking into it and how to get involved. Like I said before, he's never, been involved in racing to this standpoint. So, it was all very foreign to me as well as him. So eventually we got a Bandolero car from the US Legend Series and started racing that, did that for about 2 years. Was pretty successful in that too. Florida State Championships, a track championship at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and then a championship at a track called Chris Motorsports Park over in Cordele, Georgia. Then last year we moved up to the Legend car and still continue to grow and be successful. 8 wins and another 3 championships, same championships as a matter of fact. So, and then now this year, I've been driving the number 12 limited late model for Light Motorsports and at Hickory Motor Speedway for their weekly series. And so far that's been a big success. First time ever, first full season in a stock car. And so far we've got 3 wins, handful of podiums, a ton of top 5s. I think we've only finished outside the top 5 2 times, and they were for mechanical issues. So I'd say it's been a pretty successful season. We got 5 races to go. So 5 more opportunities to go chase some more trophies.
Yep. So Mason, for a lot of people that don't know, how old are you?
I'm 17.
Okay. So kind of going off that, it's, 17-year-old kid just, going out and racing and all that. What's that like for you to just, go out and run at, one particular track? And, obviously I know a lot of starting to get to know the NASCAR weekly series as I kind of dip my toe into it a little bit, but kind of tell me about like what happened, what it's been like to run at a historic track like, Hickory Motor Speedway.
Yeah. Obviously there's a ton of great, talented race car drivers that have gone through there and have done, a whole bunch of incredible stuff, not just in NASCAR, but in, Formula One with Pietro Fittipaldi. I know he's gone through there, and, a handful of other drivers that have gone and done a whole bunch of big things in motorsports. So Ken Reagan, who's David Reagan's father, he also runs the US Legends program in Georgia. We kind of leaned on him for advice for the limited late model stuff. And he said Hickory was the best place to, get your start in a full-size stock car with the way, they race there. It's aggressive from start to finish. And you certainly learn a lot, in those 35 to 50 lap races. So, it's been a good adjustment for me, compared to the Legend car where it's a single seater sitting in the middle. And then you got your 5 or 6 speed sequential gearbox. And now I'm in this full size stock car with a whole other right side and a 4-speed H pattern. So, but no, the progression's been good. We've continued to learn and grow and make the most out of every race. And Hickory is a great place for really any driver that's trying to get into oval racing to, grow and develop and, learn the roots of, how to race other competitors or, and just how to finesse your driving in some way, shape, or form. And it's a good starter if you're considering to move up to the next step. So, like I said, it's been a great season so far for us. Still got 5 more races in the championship, but looking forward to them. And hopefully next year we'll make a couple more trips to Hickory next year.
So kind of tell me about, like, I know you for school, I know you do the homeschool route. I know that's from being in this business for a long time, you get to know the story of many, many racers of that. It's like, oh, I have to miss so much school and all that. And it's like, that's basically the story. It's like, I can't complete this because I'm trying to chase after dream, because you can't like start like, 14, 15, 16. You can't do that. You have to, everyone starts like that at 5 years old and all that. But how's that been a challenge for you to try to get that? Or is it really a challenge at all?
Yeah, I'd say in the beginning it was a really big challenge. So when I got into a Bandolero car, I was about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
I was in like 7th grade in middle school, and it was really tough to stay on track and do what I needed to do in order to stay on top of my schoolwork as well as go and traveling on the weekends to these races. So the first year of doing it was a really big challenge. It was hard on me, I think, more mentally, just because I was all under all this stress, and I'm pretty hard on myself when it comes to racing and going out there and performing as well. So eventually, as I kind of understood it, the next year I was a lot better with it, and the year after that, when I was still in school, I was still good with it and managing all my time and my efforts, and communicating with my teachers and my team or whoever I needed to communicate to get this subject or this topic done and move forward and focus on the racing. And then the homeschooling has been a really big adjustment, knowing that you're home about 90% of the week, but you get to work around your own schedule. And the biggest thing for the homeschooling is just being self-disciplined. That's huge for a 16, 17-year-old kid. So especially when at that age you got the freedom to do a little bit more. So but yeah, it's been a good adjustment. I think it's been very healthy and beneficial for me to grow both as a race car driver and both as a person. So it's been very, like I said, it's been very, very beneficial to continue to work towards my goals and to try to learn more and more, both on and off the track as well.
Okay, so let me ask you this from kind of like a personal, like a mental health standpoint, like what happens when you like, how are you when you after race don't do well or you came so close, or how do you handle defeat, failure, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, man, it's tough on me. I really try to go out there and perform, and when you're at the late model level, people are really out there, watching and paying attention, because I mean, late models are kind of like the where a lot of the up and coming drivers come and showcase their talent. So, I've had my fair share of moments this year where, I've been a little bit frustrated with myself or a little bit embarrassed with myself, knowing like, I should have, passed this guy a little bit sooner to finish, I don't know, second or third even. Or, I should have, not roughed this guy up so much because I got a little bit, carried away, and I've had that moment before. So, yeah, I'm very, very tough on myself when it comes to going out there and competing, because I want a career out of this. I do. I generally want to make a career out of being a racing driver. I don't. I try to give it 110%, whether it's both on and off the track, trying to grow a brand or improving my performance, seeing what I can do differently. I mean, there's not a moment that goes by where me and my dad sit back and watch the replay of the race and figure out like, okay, this is what I could have done better for future. And I think that's definitely helped me with the with some of your poor, maybe some of your poor performances, or some of your maybe not most proud moments, or moments where you could do better. In the moment you're disappointed, but when you look back at it and rewatch the footage, you realize, like, you know it's a learning experience. It's a way to grow and develop and become a better race car driver. You got to make, both in life as well, you got to make mistakes in order to grow and become better sometimes. So I'd say overall it's there's pros and cons to it, but overall, biggest thing is just to try to make something that you may be hard on yourself with, and turn it into a positive in some sort of way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So coming into, everyone's probably wondering at the same time, because as the calendar starts to get into September, October, November, a lot of people are wondering, like, what are plans for next year? I know that's something that you've been working on. I know that sponsorship has not always been there for you, but where do you think you want to go next?
Yeah, next year we got some pretty exciting stuff coming forward. I can't exactly say yet, but a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be doing for next year. Going to be involved both on the driver's side and both as a brand standpoint as well. So I'm really excited for that. It's going to be a great opportunity when I do officially get the word to put it up on social media and announce it publicly. But I'm really excited for that. And, I think a lot of our partners from this year, such as HMY Yacht Sales, Ingles Marine Diesel, Bahama Beach Club, and Richmar Florist. I think we've grown a solid relationship between all of them, and I hoped I did everything that I could with what I had, both on and off track, to make them happy and allow them to grow their businesses and their brands. So hopefully they'll be back with us next year. I think they should be back for next year, but extra sponsorship and any sort of partnership is always beneficial in some way. So hopefully we'll figure it out real soon for both a little bit more partnerships and getting that situated before 2022. But I think overall it's going to be a really exciting year. And like I said, hopefully I'll be announcing more stuff like that here in the next several weeks.
Okay, so let's get to know you a little bit. How about that?
I'm all ears.
All right. Favorite movie?
Days of Thunder, no question. Days of Thunder has always been my favorite movie. After my dad had showed me, originally I thought Talladega Nights was the only NASCAR movie that was ever made. This was like when I was fresh into the sport.
Hey, a lot of people still think that.
Oh, I know, it's crazy. And then right after Days of Thunder, I found out that Stroker Race existed, and I was like, oh wow, there's more to it. And then Logan Lucky was another one that I think was fairly brand new when I was kind of figuring out what NASCAR was as a sport. Mm-hmm. But Days of Thunder is definitely the top of the list for me. It's just everything you would want in an action NASCAR-based film. It's just everything you would want as a race fan from that standpoint.
Yeah. Favorite? Are you binge watching anything right now? If you have the time. If you have the time, binge watching or watching like streaming or any shows you're in or anything like that.
Man, I'm into a lot of like the cartoon shows like Rick and Morty, Family Guy, shows like that. I don't know. It's just
those are good.
I've always found
those are just classics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Family Guy is definitely a classic. They've been around forever.
Not as long as The Simpsons has, but
no, Simpsons has seen through thick and thin. So, but yeah, those are definitely shows that I like to watch. I know Rick and Morty is coming down to their final episode for season 5, I believe it is. So that'll be out, I think, next Sunday. So I'm looking forward to watching that, if you count that as binge watching. But those are definitely the biggest ones for me. I don't know. I just really like those shows. They're just really funny to me.
Yeah. Favorite sports team to root for?
I mean, I'm not really big
Not
into
a
any
big.
other sports.
Are you? Is it just racing and that's it?
It's just racing for me.
That is
You know, whether
that actually is quite common with a lot of racers. They're like, I mean, there are some that love their teams, the local teams that they're from, but it's like when I was yeah, and don't I cover a lot of sports because that's what I am, but but I'll admit I did watch a little bit of the World Series of Asphalt during the Super Bowl. So
yeah, I can't blame you on that one. I've always kind of wondered, like, at least from my standpoint, like, why can't we have like, you got your own day for the Super Bowl? Why can't we have our own day for the Daytona 500 or the Indianapolis 500 or like
we tell we
24 hours of Le
kind
Mans? Like,
do.
come on, I want something like that. Let's have a day where we just celebrate the Super Bowl, but for NASCAR or for any form of motor racing in general.
Remember they had that Daytona Day thing? They kind of had that.
Yeah, yeah, I remember seeing the commercials a handful of times the last couple of years. So,
Yeah. Okay, and okay, a couple things people don't know about you.
uh, I mean, I like I do a little bit of I like to be a little bit creative with things. So, um, I as a little kid before I got into racing and all that stuff, I was always big into like steam engines and model trains and things like that. And grew up watching Thomas the Tank Engine for
Who hasn't?
several years, and was always fascinated with model trains. I still have like my own model train layout, and every once in a while,
There are people that are still obsessed with those things.
oh, I know, I still am. I can't focus on it near as much because of racing, and honestly, I'd rather focus on racing than model trains. But yeah, that's something I generally enjoy. I'm trying to be maybe a little bit more creative with stuff like that.
Like
Um,
creative content and all that.
maybe I've always found like something on like social media with people being creative with like photography and doing things like that
Yeah.
with model trains and both like with nature in general. So I've thought about that a handful of times. I know photography. I've always thought of photography as being a backup plan if racing didn't work out. That was always another one as well. So
Be the
yeah,
next Galen Barr.
yeah, I would certainly hope so if racing didn't work out. But yeah, I think those would probably be the biggest two for me.
That sounds good. All right. Well, Mason, thanks so much. This was a fun time, and really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. And good luck. Are you racing this weekend, bud?
Yes, sir. I'll be back at Hickory on Saturday.
All right. We'll keep you updated, and we'll see how you do. Mason will come on every so often throughout the racing season to give us an update on how he's doing and all that stuff. You mind?
Yeah, absolutely. If whenever you guys want me back on the show, I'll be more than happy to make time out of my day and keep you all updated.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Thank you.